When Samsung released the Galaxy Tab S8, I was super excited, but also a little bit confused. You see, the Tab S7 is one of my favorite tablets. So when I got this newer version, I could see that it's better. I mean, Samsung did make updates to it, but I was wondering, did they actually do enough? And there's actually one important area where they took a step back. So starting out with the size, the Tab S7 and the Tab S8 have the identical footprint. We have the same design with rounded corners, squared off edges, and the same size bezels all the way around. Now, this was an area where I thought Samsung could give us a little more by giving us smaller bezels and either reducing the footprint or giving us a slightly larger display in the same footprint. Now, of course, I'm being picky here, but I always want to see companies push the envelope so that we as consumers get better products. And we've got volume up and down controls on the right of both devices. We have the same power button, which offers an integrated fingerprint reader. And this button has worked great for me with the Tab S7. It continues to perform well with the Tab S8. Now, personally, I prefer the on-display fingerprint sensor that we have in the Tab S8 Plus and the Tab S8 Ultra, but it makes sense to me that Samsung had to keep that upgrade as a differentiator between the Tab S8 and then the higher end models. Now, both tablets have 4 speakers, which I'll get to in a minute. Both have a micro SD card slot, which allows you to expand the internal storage by up to 1 terabyte. And in both cases, you can use this storage for apps and for files. Now, not all apps and games work, but most of the ones that I tried did work, and they continue to run smoothly from the micro SD card. We're also seeing USB-C ports on both devices, but the one on the Tab S8 is 3.2 versus 3.1 on the Tab S7. Both ports offer a DisplayPort out, but the Tab S8 has faster transfer speeds. So if you regularly move files to and from your tablet, you'll appreciate this additional bandwidth. Now let me quickly go over the specs of the display and then we'll talk about what these things mean in real life. So both tablets offer a fully laminated 11-inch TFT display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600, a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, and a pixel density of 274 pixels per inch. Now, in terms of image quality, this display is fantastic. So even though we didn't get an upgrade, I'm not really disappointed because I've been super happy with the display on the Tab S7. It's also an adaptive 120 Hz display, meaning that both tablets can detect what type of content is being displayed and then either reduce the refresh rate in order to save on battery life or increase it when it offers a more responsive and fluid user experience. And speaking of battery life, that was another area where I thought we could see an improvement, but we're actually getting the same 8,000 milliampere hour battery on both. Now, I'm always going to either want a bigger battery or a more efficient processor because I never really want to worry about battery life. But to be fair, both of these last me over 10 hours and then sometimes upwards of 12 or 13 hours, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now, just to be clear, when I say both of them, I'm comparing the Tab S8 now to the Tab S7 when I got it. Of course, after a year of use, you'd expect the battery performance to drop a little. Now, if you end up picking up a Tab S8, you'll notice that it doesn't come with a charging adapter. The Tab S7 did come with a 15-watt adapter, but since both of these tablets can accept up to 45 watts, I ended up using an aftermarket one, and I'll put some links in the description to a few of my favorites. Now, looking at the camera systems, we are seeing a few small differences and then one important one. So starting with the rear-facing cameras, the Tab S7 has a 13 megapixel wide camera and a 5 megapixel ultra wide, while the Tab S8 has a 13 megapixel wide, but then a 6 megapixel ultra wide. Not really a major difference, but to be fair, the image quality is actually pretty good if you have enough light, and I almost never use these cameras because the ones on my phones are so much better. Now, the upgrade that I really like is the front-facing camera, which was upgraded from a wide 8 megapixel camera on the Tab S7 to an ultra wide 12 megapixel one on the Tab S8. This isn't just an upgrade in resolution and angle of view, but it also offers a new feature called auto framing. Basically, the Tab S8 camera can identify a subject and then track it as it moves around and then zoom in and out to make sure that it's always properly framed. This is actually a really neat feature if you do a lot of conference calls or if you make video calls where you're moving around. Now, moving on to audio, both tablets offer a quad speaker system, and for everything I've tested, the AKG tuned speakers sound the same. It's another area where I was already happy with the audio quality on the Tab S7. It's great for watching movies and for gaming, which I'll get get to in a minute. Now, I love having 4 speakers on a tablet so that even if I happen to cover 2 of them while I'm holding the tablet, I'm still getting great audio. Now, when we look at processing power, Samsung did make a change with the processor, but we see some unexpected results here. So the Tab S7 comes with the Snapdragon 865 Plus, and the Tab S8 comes with the newer Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. And I'll get to the RAM and storage options later on in the video. So for single core performance, we're getting 955 on the Tab S7 versus 1043 on the Tab S8. And for multi-core performance, we're looking at 3275 on the Tab S7 and 3194 on the Tab S8. So it's not really a major difference. But when we look at the GPU performance, the Tab S7 scored 3602 versus 6,052 on the Tab S8. And that is a significant improvement. Now, personally, I only look at benchmarks as a general baseline, and I'm much more interested in actual performance. And in that context, I haven't really noticed a major difference for the types of things that I do. So both tablets are extremely responsive, apps open very quickly, and switching between apps is virtually instant, so I've been extremely happy with the level of performance I've gotten from both. Now, of course, the Tab S7 shipped out with Android 10, and the Tab S8 comes with Android 12 and One UI 4. So that is an important upgrade with all the new productivity and multitasking features, a more responsive UI, and better security. Another important update has to do with long-term support. So Samsung now offers 4 years of OS updates and 5 years of security updates on the Tab S8, which I absolutely love. Both of these tablets are extremely capable and should have plenty of processing power to last you for years. So it's a little bit disappointed with the long-term support on the Tab S7, and I'm happy to see that Samsung improved that on the new models. Now, if you're someone who wants to be more productive with these tablets, then you'll be happy to see that they both come with an S Pen. Now, I love that Samsung includes these with the cost of the tablet. That way users don't have to go and spend additional money to get full functionality. Now, Samsung reported that the newer S Pen has a lower latency of 2.8 milliseconds versus 9 milliseconds on the previous model. But in my experience, this hasn't really resulted in a noticeable difference, and I find both of them to be extremely responsive. Now, both also have Bluetooth enabled, so you have all the additional wireless features and gestures. One accessory that I always add is a keyboard case, and we have 2 different options from Samsung, the book cover keyboard and the book cover keyboard slim. So the regular book cover keyboard consists of 2 parts, the keyboard itself, which includes a touchpad, and then there's a separate piece for the back. Now, the keyboard itself is actually pretty good, and I like the fact that I can separate the back and then use both of these tablets in tablet mode while still protecting the back of the device and the S Pen. Now, the slim version is a single piece that wraps around the tablet. It has a slot right in the center where you can store the S Pen. Now, this design takes up less space on your desk when it's set up, but it doesn't have a touchpad, and the S Pen is not protected when you're charging it on the back. One area where I really like using the book cover keyboard is with Dex, which transforms the user interface into more of a desktop operating system. It gives you a taskbar where you can minimize the apps, you get a desktop with icons, multiple floating windows, and with the book cover keyboard, I'm getting a similar experience to using a laptop. Now, if you really want a desktop-like experience, then you can pair both tablets with an external monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse, and then you can work with a dual display setup and get even more done. Now, if you have a compatible PC or a laptop, you can also use either tablet as an additional display for your home or work setup. Both come with a feature called Second Screen, which allows you to wirelessly pair the tablet and then extend your desktop. Now, once you're done with work and with school, it's time to have fun, and both of these tablets are great to game on. The display is fantastic. The speakers offer directional sound so you can hear where footsteps are coming from, and the form factor makes them very comfortable to hold for longer gaming sessions. If you play PUBG, both tablets can go to HDR graphics with frame rate set to extreme, or you can set graphics to Ultra HD and frame rate to Ultra. Now, I usually play on either smooth or balanced and then extreme for frame rate, so I can get a fluid gaming experience and better battery life. Other demanding games like Genshin Impact also run really smoothly, and I didn't notice a difference even though I have the 6 gigabytes of RAM on the Tab S7 and the 8 gigabytes of RAM on the Tab S8. I could also easily pair an Xbox controller with both tablets and then play all of my favorite Xbox Game Pass apps. Both tablets worked great and the gameplay was smooth as long as I had a fast and reliable internet connection. Now, remember in the beginning when I said that Samsung is taking a step back? Well, here's what I'm talking about. So the Tab S8 is available with 128 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM, and then 256 or 512 gigs of storage with 8 gigs of RAM. The Tab S8 comes with 128 or 256 gigabytes of internal storage, then both models come with 8 gigs of RAM. So in that context, you're getting a little bit of a bump if you get the 128 gig model. But there's no 512 gigabyte version. To me, that's a serious step back, and I'm not sure why Samsung would remove an option that's available on the previous model, especially as apps and games continue to use up more storage. Now, the price is also really interesting because in the US, the Tab S8 starts at $699 versus the Tab S7 at $649. And let me know in the comment section where you live and what these cost because I'm always curious about the difference. Now, at this point, unless you need 512 gigs of internal storage, then you might as well pay the extra $50, get an upgraded camera system, 4 years of operating system support, 5 years of security updates, and the improved S Pen latency. Now, if Samsung reduces the cost of the Tab S7, then it would become a better value and it would be something that I would consider. Now you should see how the Tab S8 compares with the iPad Air 4. Hopefully this comparison was helpful. Click on my face to subscribe. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.